Hey everybody, this is the Midnight Goddess, and I'm doing well, and I hope you are too. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the decriminalization of sex work. Now, I'm one who personally believes that sex workers should have unions, sex workers um, should be a legal practice because um, with the labor laws, it would help protect um, the sex workers because criminalization denies sex workers the protection of said labor laws. Now, unlike other workers, sex workers are excluded from federal and provincial employment standard legislation. Now, as a result, sex workers do not have pre- um, parental or family leave. They don't have health benefits or retirement plan or vacation pay, nor do they have the recourse if they're wrongfully discriminated against at work. Now, this is important because they're not covered by provincial legislation, such as the Occupational Health and Safety Act or the Industrial Accidents and Occupation Act um, in Ontario, and la loi de santé et sécurité du travail et les lois d'accident du travail et maladies professionnelles in Quebec. It's the same thing, only in French. And this means sex workers do not have basic work security, such as compensation if they're injured. For example, um, you could have a bad John. How many serial killers out there target sex workers because they're such a marginalized community and such a marginalized profession that people just think, oh, it's just another runaway, it's just another prostitute, it's just whatever, something like a crumpled up newspaper or a Kleenex that you throw out and you don't actually think about it. But these are real human beings and as such deserve the same rights as everybody else. They deserve human rights. And these are the rights to have a safe work environment, to be free of harassment, to be free of um, sexual discrimination, to be discriminated based on their profession. They deserve to be able to have unions, medical services set up and to decrease the chances of getting STIs, STDs, HIV, and passing it on to other people. It's time for us to um, organize into labor unions, and because they could address um, exploitation, bargain for better working conditions, um, or can collectively negotiate wages. This is why we need to stop putting limits on sex workers' options, because sex workers who have been criminally convicted find themselves permanently labeled, and many employers will never hire a former sex worker. In addition, many jobs are not available to persons with criminal records. Now, we're already marginalizing this group of people. Then we're marginalizing them even more when they get out of the that system or that lifestyle and try and get normal everyday work. Um, However, we put so many limitations on sex work that um, its competencies in the course of their working um, include interpersonal business, administrative problems, and problem solving skills. They know about competencies, and they know about um, money and getting out of a tight spot, things like that. And these could prove um, very useful in a employment setting. However, because of the criminalization of sex work, these skills are not recognized by employers, and the sex worker or former sex worker is looked at as somebody who is not human. So they're looked at as, oh, that's just that hooker, or that's just that whore, that's just that slut, that's just that whatever. And we're pushing them further and further into the shadows. And this makes it even harder to have safer working conditions. And the hidden nature of the industry means that unscrupulous individuals can act aggressively and exploitatively with virtual impunity. There are serial killers who focus on prostitutes and sex workers and things like that because they are a marginalized group, and nobody seems to care when a sex worker goes missing. And frankly, I am somebody who does care about that kind of thing. And I would really like the decriminalization to happen, if for no other reason than criminalization takes away the right to sexual autonomy. It's your body. You're an adult. You can consent. The person can consent. How different is it than taking someone out on a large date or spending money on them, and at the end of the night you have sex? You could call that an exchange of goods for services. So there's really a million ways that you could look at this, but at the end of the day, until we can give sex workers sexual autonomy, so we can give them unions, better health care, and more respect for sex workers who no longer are sex workers, and it shouldn't be held against them that they did sex work, because there's nothing to be ashamed of. And I just think that it's time that we as a community grew up, and as a society grew up, and start remembering that sex workers' rights are human rights. So this is the Midnight Goddess, hoping to have started a conversation. And just remember, my dears, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you supposed to love anybody else? Bye.